Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Thriving Talk. This is a Dadson edition in which me, Tim, gets the chance to ask my dad, Tinku Thompson, questions. Welcome, Dad.
Thank you, Tim, and I'm glad to be with you once again. We had a few weeks of break, I guess, because of different reasons, but look forward to this episode.
A quick reminder to all our listeners, Thriving Talk is available on major platforms like iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Also, if you haven't listened to the last episode, we talked about volunteering at a local church, which is a para-church ministry. So today I want to ask a very important question. It is about life management. We all need life management. So let's start off simple. What is life management?
Okay, so you want to know about life management. So it's simply managing all aspects of your life because we deal with different things on a daily basis. It could be physical aspects, spiritual, emotional, mental, family, different things. So how well we manage all those things matters. And so effectiveness in life cannot be achieved until we have a plan for managing our life. And once we start managing our life can be very profitable and beneficial for others. It's like, if you're running a business or if you're doing anything, even at your workplace, if you're doing a job or school, you have to manage certain things to see the results you are expecting and to give you fulfillment and happiness in life. So in the same way, when we talk about life management at a very basic principle, it's all about managing the basic aspects and making sure that you're taking care of all aspects of your life to the best of your ability and not ignoring things which are also important in life.
Is it important for Christians to manage their life?
I think for a Christian, it's very important that they manage their life and time. Before I get into that, let me also remind that, this life management can be a big topic. Maybe in future we should do some episodes on time management, on productivity and other things, because that also ties into this. But coming back to your question about Christians managing, yes, Bible actually tells us that we should not be lazy in life. Jeremiah 48 verses 10 actually says, "A curse is on anyone who is lax in doing the Lord's work." So when it comes to do the Lord's work or the responsibilities and whatever God has given to us, we need to make sure that we are not showing any tardiness or any type of laziness in that. Luke 16:10 actually, in that Jesus says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much." So there is this principle we see in the Bible where there is another place where it says that whoever has more will be given, right? And so we are called to be faithful and good stewards of everything we have been given, including our time and resources in this world. So it is very important in my view that Christians should manage their time and maximize it so that they can be a blessing for others. Because basically, if you look at a Christian's call, one of the key things is we are blessed to be a blessing for others. And if we spend our time in just enjoying our blessings on our own and not being a blessing for others, then we are missing the big point. And we cannot be a blessing for others if we are not able to manage our own life. So that's the way I see that as important.
How do you manage life? I know you play a couple of different roles, like you pastor a church, you volunteer at a parachurch ministry, but on the side of all that, you also work. So how do you manage life?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. First of all, I would say it's by the grace of God.
Yeah, that's true.
But yes, as you said, my life had been busy, but now I don't call myself as busy. I don't think so. In fact, last week I wrote a blog about it, about the busyness. So my idea of busyness is now totally different. So I think I'm using my time, but I'm not busy as I used to be earlier.
Yeah.
Because I have changed my viewpoint on that whole aspect of how we view busy and how we view the life. But let me try to answer that question. So I would say that if we have to manage our life, we have to review and look at all aspects, and we have to come up with what are those things which are of priority to us. When I say that, there will always be competing priorities. There will always be things which will require your time. Especially the generation or the times in which we are living, there are so many things which will be coming to pull your time away from you, right? Technology, social media, all these things, you are bombarded with a lot of information, and everybody wants your attention, in the sense like all the ads and everything is geared towards all the apps on your phone and your iPad, or all those things are sending you notifications. So it's very easy for us to be distracted, and basically we could end up just spending and wasting a lot of our time. So it's very important that we review where are we spending our time. And some cases, people are not sleeping enough, because they are addicted to certain things. Sometimes technology addictions can, be a hindrance in them getting good sleep, and that can develop health issues, so that's one aspect. So when we talk about how do you manage life, I think we have to look at all the aspects, especially your physical health. Are you spending enough time to give enough exercise, rest to your body? Spiritual aspects, are you diligent in following or doing your spiritual disciplines? It could be prayer, reading the word, or whatever spiritual disciplines you think are important, and then taking enough time for the family, children. Then your work also. If you're working somewhere, you have to make sure that you're also doing that properly. And then some people may have other commitments, as you said. So I actually interact with different things, but I have understood my limits. So there was a time in my own life where I used to think that I have to do everything everywhere, but I understood that God has given me only 24 hours. Out of that, my body needs X amount of hours of sleep, and I also need some relaxing time, and I need to. There are some essential things which I need to do. So I have set my own boundaries and limits as to how much I can do with each of my engagement, and I try to do the essential and the things which I am supposed to do, but then I am not worrying about things which are out of my hand, or which is beyond my capacity or ability to do it. So I think at a higher level, I would say that you have to really think about your life. You have to identify the purpose for your life, and you have to really decide what are you going to what are those things on which you want to really spend time. You could be spending like a lot of time on things which doesn't even matter, while those things which matter you may not be taking any time. So you have to really evaluate that. So how do you manage life is, first of all, you have to take an inventory of where are you spending your time now. Is it being productive? Is it being used for the right things or not? So that's very important.
What are some ways that this can be done in,
so if you ask me personally, apart from, of course, biblical things, theology, spiritual things, and some things related to AI and other things which I write about, and my research was on that. One of the other topics on which I read a lot, and I have read a lot, is the subject of productivity and all these things. So there are different systems which are in place. There are many systems, and one thing we have to understand is all these systems are good, but you have to stick to one system, and that is very important. You look at what is your need, and you have to stick to some system, follow it, and so when I say systems, it could be how do you manage the task which you are supposed to do? How are you managing, making sure that you are doing things on a timely basis? Maybe a little later I will talk more about it, like how I do it. But you have to be intentional. You have to put some things in place. You just can't get up in the morning and go with the flow of things. You need to have some goals, and you need to have some things to achieve in life. You need to have some regular things you will be doing to make progress in life. You can't think that when the time will be good and when everything will be better, I will do something. Then it will never happen. For example, if you are planning to take a certification or do some special study on something, if you don't plan for it, if you don't separate out time for it, it is never going to happen. Because the world in which we are living today, there are a lot of things going on, and there are a lot of things which is trying to get our attention. So you have to really plan, and you have to really make sure that you are allocating enough time to achieve what you want to achieve in life.
What are some tips for people who are really having trouble with managing their life?
I will go back to some of the things I already shared, right? First of all, I will just say that let's start with this point of finding out the purpose of your life. I think we did an episode on purpose of life recently. So it's very important that we have a purpose in life. And the other thing is we should have a mission statement for our life if possible. Why are we in this world? What are we trying to achieve? Apart from the work we do, or apart from everything else we are doing on a regular basis, what are the things which we want to do with life? What are we going to leave behind in this world, right? So once we identify that, and a lot of people cannot tell. So if I ask somebody, hey, what is the purpose of your life? They may struggle to answer that. I think if you have spent some time in figuring this out, within a minute, under a minute, you should be able to tell what is the purpose and of your life. You should be able to tell, okay, this season of my life, this time of my life, this is my focus. This is what I'm doing. But a lot of times people struggle in coming up with an answer for that simple question of what are you doing with your life? Because they just get up in the morning, go to the work, go with the flow of things. So that's what they do. So identifying what is your purpose, and then coming up with a plan of how you are going to achieve, where are you going to do. So I would give you one good example is I sit in a room which is my office room, and every day I have a task called as Clean 10. Clean 10 is a task where I say 10 minutes to clean my office. It's not like every day I have to do it, but make sure things are in the proper place, everything. That's so small. Majority of the days I don't even have to spend 10 minutes. It's mostly a couple of minutes to put things in place. But what it does is it always helps me to have a clean office, most of the time. And if something goes mess up, it won't be more than a day when things will be in that state. So you have to really make some choices and decisions in life that I'm going to do things which is going to really help me with this. So that's those are some of the basic suggestions I have, because if we don't do this, everything else we are going to do is not going to work out at all. So it's very important that we take again, as I say, inventory of what we are, where we are, and where we want to go, and then also have a plan of how we go there. And once we make that decision and take small steps, I won't say take big steps, but take small steps, And when you do that, I think you will slowly start seeing changes happening, and you will be encouraged. And when you see some positive results, you will be motivated more to pursue and go in that direction.
Are there like any tools or technology used? Because to do all this, I think we probably need some tools or things we use.
Yeah, there are a lot of tools, and there are a lot of things available. Let me make it very simple, or maybe I can tell what I do, right? So what I do is basically I use a task list. The tool I use is to do is a tool which is on all my devices, computer, phone, everything. So anything which comes to my mind, or anything which somebody asks me. So this morning I was having a meeting with some people down in South, and so we had a follow-up meeting which I am supposed to set up. So what I do is, as we were having this conversation, I just added it into my inbox, task inbox, saying that set up a meeting for this date with these people again. So that's there now. So I do that, and then I have some recurring task, as I said about the clean 10. I have some recurring task which comes on my task list every day, which I'm non-negotiable, which I have to do. There are weekly things which I need to do, not every day, but for example, I preach every Sunday, so there is a specific day of the week by which I have a target of finalizing what I'm going to speak, and then preparation. Same way with all the online things we are doing. I have a target of that. Every Tuesday at this point, I publish a blog related to AI, and then I publish a personal blog on Thursday. So all these things are recurring, right? So this is all in my task list now. But then I also add. So everything comes to the task list. And then what I do is I process this task list. So task lists cannot just simply remain there. I use a note-taking or kind of a tool called as Notion. So what happens is, if this is something which ends up being whatever I have decided to do is a project or something, it goes there with the plan and everything, with the task list, further. But there are other things for which I have to just put those into my calendar. Allocate time, because otherwise it's not going to happen. So it either goes into my note-taking app, or it goes into my calendar if it is small. And then one more thing I follow is, if there is a task or something which takes less than like 5 minutes, 2-3 minutes, I just do it. I don't want to have it entered and planned, because that takes more time. So if something can be done quickly, I just do it. Then what happens is, I also, so once you have it in the task list, every night, most of the time, every night, I use my manual notepad or the notebook. So I have something called as the date, and then I have 3 categories. One is a daily category, where I have 3 things which goes into the daily. And then I have another 3 things which goes into something called as focused. And then I have other tasks. So basically what happens is, I pick up what are my priorities for the day. So daily ones are my non-negotiable things, like reading the Bible, or there are certain things which I have to do for sure. And then focused are those projects which are not daily things, but which I have to do on a daily basis to achieve a goal in my life, or a progress. It could be writing. It could be something like, we need to record something, right? Things like that. And then the other things can have a lot of other tasks. On a daily basis, and daily things are non-negotiable, because that is very important. Focus things are also kind of non-negotiable, but most of the time I try to do that. But one thing out of that may slip, but that's okay. But the other things I do, what I can do, I'm not really concerned if I skip 1 or 2 or push it to the next day, because that's fine if we have to push it to another day. So that's the way. And then, of course, this goes into my notepad, and during the day I have this notepad in front of me, and And then one more thing I do is I batch task. So what do you mean by batch task is there is something called as a cost for switching between tasks. And so let's say, you're writing something, then you stop it and go and start doing something else. Then you come back, you have to get into that mode of writing again. So that's all there. Yeah. So what I do is I try to batch tasks, sometimes color code it in the sense like, let's say I have some small tasks like, okay, I need to, go through my mails which came, go through my emails. Let's say I have some bills to pay, or, it could be silly, simple things, which doesn't need a lot of my mental energy. It's more like a task which can be done very quickly. So I'm allocate like 30 minutes or an hour and say like I'm going to do this 5 things during this time, right? So that way, within the 30 minutes, I get those things done, but then I can have a bigger block of time for things which needs my mental energy and my focus. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I write 2 paragraphs and then I'm coming back and doing something and getting distracted with things. So those are some of the basic things I follow, and I also have a full weekly schedule of when things needs to be published or when things needs to go. And so I try to follow that. I'm not going to say I'm 100% able to success, but I've been having a high rate of success compared to olden days, which I am experiencing that is giving a lot of progress in many areas. But I think this really helps because once you are able to do things, it also gives you the confidence and more calmness. So something I will always tell you, right? So I told about the daily things, right? Some basic, my spiritual disciplines and other things. So that's probably the first thing I do in the morning. So once that is done, you feel like calmness, and then you also do something related to your focus projects. So what happens is before 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, before you even go for work, you have achieved a lot of things in life, in the sense like you have made progress in many areas, and that gives you a kind of calmness and more confidence, and you feel like you have done something with your life today. But sometimes when we don't do things in the morning and leave it for the evening, and sometimes it basically I have found a lot of struggle in getting things done once it's evening. So because there are so many other distractions in the morning, most of the people are still sleeping, and you have a calm time, and it becomes so easy to manage. So I'm going to say like, okay, I have some tools, but it's more than tools. It's the system, what your process you're going to follow, and maybe some other episode we can talk in detail about those things. But so the primary tools I use is task lists, like a to-do list, and then I have a note-taking app, and then I use my calendar a lot, and then my notebook, which which is very important tool now, and it really helps me to keep moving forward and be more organized and make sure that things are not skipping. So basically, if you come and tell me that we need something or we need to buy something, and I'm not carrying it in my mind all the time. It goes into my app and it's there. So that when I go to shop, or if I'm thinking about or planning something, I just access that. So I'm not getting into this mode of forgetting everything. I still forget. I'm not trying to say that I remember everything, but I try to move it so that it's captured and it's there, and process it. So capturing itself is not enough. You have to capture it, you have to process it, and you have to also act on it. You can't just be capturing and processing it and thinking that it will happen. But once you act on it, you will be able to see good outcomes.
So this is very insightful information. So thank you for sharing all these things, Dad. And to all our listeners, thank you for listening. In the coming weeks, we'll be coming back with more Dadson editions of Thriving Talk, and I'll be asking more questions. As we said in the beginning, this episode is available on many different platforms. Do not forget to follow or subscribe to the Thriving Talk podcast on your favorite platform to receive new episodes as they get released. Also, remember that my dad has a weekly newsletter now. in which he shares a lot of good information. The link to the newsletter will be in the show notes. Feel free to subscribe to the newsletter. We'll come back, but until then, remember that we need to properly manage the life that God has given us for His purpose.
Thank you, Tim. I know that your school has started, but I think you'll take time to continue with this program, right?
Yeah.
Okay, once again, thank you all listeners. God bless you all.
We'll see you soon.